Hello everyone and welcome. So I'm starting with cards that are for Valentine's Day, anniversary or other similar occasions. In this video I'm watercoloring a cactus and instead of the flowers on the top I painted little hearts. I started with a sketch. I first drew the cactus into a notebook and then I copied it onto a thin paper, which I will be using then to transfer the image onto my watercolor cardstock. You can directly use the paper, I just prefer to use the notebook first. Now, to get the drawn image onto my watercolor cardstock, I scribbled the graphite of the pencil over the back of the paper, making sure I have the graphite over the areas where the cactus is, and then I placed the paper on top of my watercolor panel. I secured it with a piece of washi so it doesn't move. And with my pencil, I went over the lines of the cactus, and this is how you transfer the image onto the watercolor cardstock. Here you can see it in a close-up, the image transferred very nicely, it's perfectly visible. So now I can add some color. I'm going to be using watercolors, and if you would like to see the product list, just hop over to my blog. The link is in the description. I only used one green for the cactus and I worked in layers doing the wet on dry technique. First I applied a base layer. If you would like the color of your cactus to be lighter, you can just apply this layer, but I wanted to add a little bit of depth, so I did a little bit of shading, which you will see shortly. For the shading, I applied additional coat of green, making it darker on one side. And where the cactus overlaps the big one, I added brown to make it more darker, to create a little bit more separation. I also tried blue, but then I changed my mind and put it away. Also, one thing I want to say about drawing the cactus, it is very simple to do. I started with the pot and then the cactus, which consists of arch-like shapes stacked on top of each other. I started with the big one and then on top of it I drew smaller ones, and then I decided to add a second smaller cactus next to it, and lastly I drew the hearts. If you are not good at drawing, which by the way I'm not either, drawing it on a scrap of paper or a notebook where you can erase and play with the shapes makes it much easier and less intimidating. I will play a little bit of music so you can see the whole painting process. If you have any questions, just ask in the comments and I will be back in a bit. So the painting is almost done. I painted the terracotta pot, for which I used an orange brown, and for the soil I used a dark brown paint. Then I painted multiple hearts on top of the cactus using a pink paint. You could also change this and paint some flowers instead of the hearts if you are not making a Valentine's Day or anniversary card. And lastly, I painted the spines or needles, or what is it called? And I actually looked up some examples online because I didn't want to spend too much time on it. And in the end, I painted many dots across the cactus using a dark green. Same green as I was using so far for the whole cactus, just very concentrated. And at some places, I did these short strokes to paint the needles. So the painting is done. After it was dry, I stamped the greeting. I have this stamp set which has really nice greetings, including love you, and I stamped it with a black ink. If you do not have any stamps, you can leave it without a greeting. I think it looks great without it as well, or just write it with a black fine liner. Lastly, I adhered the panel on top of a card base using a simple double-sided tape. If you want the panel to be a little bit raised, you can use a foam tape. And for the card base, I used a craft cardstock. So the card is finished. I absolutely love it. This is exactly what I had in mind. I'm really happy with it, and I hope you will give it a try. It's very simple to make. If you enjoyed this video and the card, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you in my next video.